Missouri Republicans kicked off their work in Jefferson City last week, promising tax relief, education reform, and lower crime. Right now, we go to Senate Republican Nick Schroer, who joins us on the record. It looks like he might be even on the road. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I want to start with one of the bills that you filed in the Missouri Senate, which would return control of the St. Louis Police Department to the state of Missouri. What problem would that solve?
Well, I think when you look at over the past couple of years, during my lifetime, the city of St. Louis has always been in the top 1, 2, or 3 of the most violent cities, most deadly cities in America. And when you look at the business response, many businesses from Lexco, Carl's Jr., Brown and Crouppen, and others have left the city of St. Louis. And this is a city that should be the economic generator of the state. By and large, it really is. But I see us going in the opposite direction. Since the failed experiment of returning the control of the city of police back to the city of St. Louis, we've seen an increase in crime, an increase in deadly crime, violent crime, businesses fleeing, people fleeing. I know all of us know somebody, or we are that person that doesn't want to go down to the city of St. Louis to see our teams play, the Blues, the Cardinals, the Battlehawks, go to concerts. For me, as a parent of 2 young, beautiful girls, I only go down to the city of St. Louis for day games, if I can go to a day Blues game. So ultimately what this is going to do, we've got the business community that has our backs. We've got the police in the city of St. Louis that are asking for solutions, asking for something different, because at this point, we've got our future to lose. We've got the future of the business community, the future of our children, with this violent crime increasing, in a lot of the recruitment and retention issues at the police department just getting worse day in, day out. So ultimately, this bill has been filed to bring everybody to the table, Republicans, Democrats. This is a city that does ultimately impact the entire state. And if we can't get crime under control, the future of the state does not look good.
I hear you spelling out problems about crime and some of the concerns people have, but I'll ask the question this way. What is it that the Missouri State Police Board could do that new Police Chief Robert Tracy cannot?
Well, I think ultimately it would put everybody back at the table once again, and not just delegate this to the local officials in the city of St. Louis. We've seen corruption with 3 aldermen being indicted and pleading guilty. Ultimately, everybody wants the same goal, a safer St. Louis. So this would put many people, from the governor's picks to Mayor Tashara Jones' picks, at the table to find solutions, which they haven't been since 2013.
Very interesting. There's another one of your bills that you filed. A number of your colleagues have filed something similar, which would, in essence, make it harder for voters to change the state constitution. Why?
So what we've seen over the past decade, I guess, since the Hancock Amendment. Hancock was the last one, a Missouri citizen, that utilized this ability to bypass the legislature and put something on the ballot for the people to vote on. Since then, we've seen out-of-state millionaires, whether it was Clean Missouri, Medicaid expansion, the national popular vote, so to speak, so many different things that these entities out of state are coming in and putting in our Constitution, things like bingo, the game, marijuana, so many different things where it's easy, as long as you have the pocketbook to pay for people to go and collect signatures. It's making it more difficult for people to have their voices heard in the state of Missouri. So I think at the same time, while we're trying to make it more difficult for out-of-state billionaires to modify our Constitution, the Constitution of us living here in the state of Missouri, we also have to take into account loosening some restrictions, or making it more transparent if voters want to go the way that Hancock did, in limiting the government's ability to raise taxes, which I think we can all agree on. There should be some checks and balances there, but this system shouldn't be so easy for these out-of-state millionaires to change our Constitution. So whether it's changing the threshold of the signatures, making it more transparent so people can actually see the entirety of these ballot measures, or having some checks and balances with the legislature if you are going to change the Constitution, this needs to be modified.
You're pointing to ballot initiatives in the past about bingo or marijuana, and certainly reasonable people could look at 45 pages or so being stuffed into the Constitution and raise legitimate concerns about that, but those are ballot initiatives of the past. Democrats in Missouri have their eyes on a ballot initiative in the immediate future, which would protect abortion access in Missouri. That's something they're organizing now. And at this same moment, Republicans are organizing an effort to raise that bar or change the rules in the middle of the game, some people might say. Is that part of the politics here, is to play defense and prevent voters from enshrining abortion access in the state constitution?
No, this is something that the Missouri House has taken up for a number of years. I know Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft has spearheaded these efforts. The Missouri House has passed many different versions of this, and as you have seen, the battlefield that the Missouri Senate has been, many of these things have died. Many of these priorities, like enacting the Parents' Bill of Rights, giving more transparency to parents to see where their money's going, what curriculum their kids are being taught. All of these things, including the initiative petition reforms, have not been taken up in the Senate. And, we're going to push for this once again. We're going to have a great debate. I'm glad some of my colleagues on the right and the left have made it over into the Senate. And that's where I think this deliberative process needs to be taken. But it has nothing to do with any of the ballot initiatives that are in the process or failed in the past.
All right, very interesting. You mentioned the curriculum in schoolrooms, and you have another bill right now that would also allow the state's attorney general to sue school districts. I think the AG may already have this, or at least the last attorney general felt he had this discretion. But you have a bill that would put that in statute, that no school or school employee shall compel a teacher or student to adopt, affirm, adhere to, or profess ideas, and I'm reading from your bill, that individuals by virtue of their race, ethnicity, color, or national origin bear collective guilt and are inherently responsible for actions committed in the past by other members of the same race, ethnicity, color, or national origin. It looks like you want the state to be able to sue school districts if teachers do what? Teach history?
So I don't think, looking at that language, blaming any race, whether you're black, white, blaming any culture, the Irish, Scottish, Italians, for anything that one person did. It's like blaming all Germans for the atrocities that Hitler was taking part in. I think it's incorrect, and it's not history. When you look at Project 1619 or critical race theory, which has components of blaming, let's say, anybody that is Caucasian as being an oppressor, or trying to connect that somehow to the atrocities of slavery, rather than actually looking at history, rather than looking at the fact that Thomas Jefferson, in the drafting of the Declaration of Independence, actually blamed King George III for bringing this human atrocity here called slavery. And that's the history we need to learn. We need to learn the history of the Democratic Party fighting many years ago to stop the civil rights movement, enacting Jim Crow laws, and so many things like that. But we're not blaming Democrats today for the people of yesteryear, so to speak. So this was a bill that we had pushed through the Education Committee. Those components were debated by Republicans, and ultimately that was the compromise that we came up with. So that's going to be the starting point of my bill this year, dealing with the Parents' Bill of Rights and trying to prevent any form of indoctrination, any form of third-party infiltration into the history books. I think our kids need to learn history, all of the history, and not something that's been cookie cutter, cut and pasted from a political party or a third party that's interested in selling books.
All right, very interesting. We'll leave it there for now, but we look forward to exploring that debate as it unravels further on the floor of the Missouri Senate, perhaps in the Missouri House as well. Senator Nick Schroer, thanks for joining us on the record.